Good morning, and thanks for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Usually we have that show open for you here on Right Side, but this is the road to 47. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We are 46 days away from President Trump taking that oath in office there. And of course, we're looking forward to that. We'll have a lot of coverage here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. As we know, we the people voted for major government reform. You can call it Reform USA if you'd like. Also, out there in the United Kingdom, Nigel Farage leads a party called the Reform UK Party. So a lot of similarities there when it comes to what is needed here in the United States of America. Once again, this is the road to 47. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've got quite the newscast for you today. Let's go right now to our interview right there with Lee Smith about President Trump's cabinet picks. And author Lee Smith joins us right now on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thank you so much for joining us, Lee.
Hey, thank you, Matthew, for inviting me. Great to be with you as ever.
Definitely. What's your overall assessment right now with President-elect Donald Trump, his picks, but also using Truth Social to get his word out?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, well, Truth Social, of course, is very effective. And this is, it's part of the subtitle of my book, Disappearing the President, Trump, Truth Social, and the Fight for the Republic. And I just want to pick out two of the most recent truths, and one of, or actually two different reports, but one of the most recent truths, and that was his warning regarding hostages being held in Gaza right now. So look, I mean, this is incredibly effective. Everyone is aware now, and this is going to put all sorts of American adversaries and perhaps some American allies on alert as well, meaning Qatar and Egypt. But what it really does is it draws a remarkably sharp distinction between what we've had to deal with the last 4 years, where there's been dissembling, weakness. And here's Donald Trump, and he steps up and he says, if you don't let the hostages go, you're going to pay a very steep price. So this is impressive, the way that the president is already setting the way that he's already setting the agenda. And look, some of the other truths that have come out when he's talking about tariffing China, because of, in addition to the tariffs they're already going to have to pay, there's going to be an additional, I believe it was 10%. For continuing to manufacture fentanyl or be involved in the manufacture of fentanyl. So this is very serious stuff. And again, the president is a little less than 2 months from inauguration, but still he's already established his agenda pretty clearly, especially regarding foreign affairs.
Yeah, can you believe it? On Truth Social, you saw the cause and effect. He said, Mexico and Canada, you're going to get a 25% tariff, man. I'll tell you, that night or the next day, the leaders were calling him, weren't they?
No, absolutely. And you saw what happened. You saw the reports coming out of the meeting with Justin Trudeau. And what was it that Trump said? After Trudeau said, well, if you tariff us, you'll destroy our economy. And Trump said, well, I mean, if you don't have an economy, aside from ripping us off for $100 billion a year, maybe we ought to annex you, and everyone said, that Trump said it jokingly. Well, hey, I mean, I don't think there's really a plan, an action plan to invade Canada at the top of Trump's desk, but it's serious, right? And he should be. It's like, okay, look, I'm sorry for your problems, but Americans have been getting ripped off way too long, and this has to stop. So it's important to understand it's not just about China and Mexico. It's also about Canada, and it's about other world actors as well.
Exactly. Is there a way to describe the calm that we do feel as Americans right now? As we know, President Trump will be in office on January 20th, but I mean, after all of the rallies, all the campaign season, the election, everybody thinking which way is our country going to go? And right now, then all of it kind of just stops. President Trump wins, and we're just sitting here like, well, we're hoping and for a great, golden age. But is that normal, or should we be, cautiously optimistic?
Well, I think that everyone is right to feel that that this is normal. Remember what happened with the Biden campaign in 2020. Oh, Joe Biden will bring us back to normal. Well, no, this was never going to happen, because the people who were driving the weirdness were the people who were backing Joe Biden. So, right, that was the candidate of chaos. Biden was the candidate of chaos. That's what they were doing to Trump starting in 2016. That's where the chaos came from, not from Donald Trump's social media life or not from Donald Trump's press conferences, but from the operation targeting Donald Trump. That was the chaos. So now we're seeing a period of I would not say not relative calm, but real calm. And now Trump is putting out his message. I would also caution people, and I think I said this before when you and I spoke, Matthew, but I would caution people that there's a lot at stake for the other side, for the agents of chaos, for the people who have been hurting this country, not just during the Biden years and not just during the Trump years, but who have been hurting this country for many decades. And those are some of the people who've been selling us out to foreign countries. And those are some of the people who have been targeting Donald Trump since 2016. So again, I would just counsel, I certainly don't want to panic anyone, but I would steadfastness as this, because it's going to get rocky, because these people have a lot at stake.
Exactly. Before we get to ask you about Disappearing the President, how your book's doing, I want to read something to you that you're fully aware of course, from President Donald Trump, saying Lee Smith is a great American patriot who has understood from the very beginning that the radical left is the true threat to democracy. That coming from DJT. What was that like for him to say something like that about you, Lee?
Well, I was, incredibly kind and incredibly generous. And, in the book, the book starts, I interview the president, and, that in itself was terrific. I'd had a chance to meet him and interview him before. And, I felt very privileged to be able to do it and speak with him. He's a great guy, very funny, very sharp, and it's just a pleasure to get to spend some time around him and have his insight on different things. And so a lot of that is in the book, Disappearing the President. And of course, I'm very grateful for his kind words, and all the people who have, the other people who have said nice things about the book, and people who have bought the book who have said nice things. I try to interact with them as much as possible on social media. They'll flash a picture of the copy that they just received. I'm like, hey, thanks for getting it. Hope you enjoy it. And the reception has been really terrific. The book's gotten some great reviews, but I'm most happy to hear from readers directly when they say, "Wow, I really love your books." It's hugely flattering. It's one of the great privileges of being an author is great in that way. I mean, it's just amazing when you think about it. Thousands of people you've never met in your life spend money and invest their hard-earned money, and they want to buy your book, your product, and understand your insight on stuff. So it's just it's an amazing honor. It's really hard to describe, So I'm grateful to everyone, starting with Donald Trump.
Exactly, and then the impact that you have on the American people and anybody internationally that reads it as well. I mean, it must feel really awesome. So, Disappearing the President is the book. We'll show you that right there on your screen. Author Lee Smith, sir, thank you again for joining us on Right Side. We'll see you again soon.
I look forward to it, Matthew. Thank you again.
All right, so of course the New York Times best-selling author Lee Smith there sharing some of his analysis and assessments for President Trump's great cabinet picks, his administrative picks as well. Speaking of President Trump, he's got quite the schedule over the next 24, 48, 72 hours. Tonight he'll be flying up to New York City for an awards ceremony in New York, of course, and then on his way to Paris, France this weekend. He actually spoke about it right there, you see on Truth Social. He's going to go visit the Notre Dame Cathedral. Now, of course, it was been closed for about 5 years, so it's finally reopening. So President Trump will be visiting the cathedral there, saying, quote, "It will be a very special day for all." According to the cathedral's website, the religious site has actually been a place of faith and welcome for more than 860 years. So that'll be quite the event over the weekend. Meantime, on the home front, as you guys know, and you might have heard a lot of, the sheriffs around the country are really taking up a new level of security for our country. Yes, they keep the streets safe as possible, but also when it comes to our borders out there on the coast, whether it's Florida or even up in Maryland. I spoke with a number of sheriffs today. Let's go to Keith Pearson, the sheriff of St. Lucie County, Florida. And the St. Lucie County Sheriff Keith Pearson joins us once again on Right Side. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Definitely. Talk to us about what you guys do when it comes to border protection, because I know it's coastal protections in a way, But to the average American, they probably think it's Customs and Border Patrol takes care of that. But it sounds like the county sheriffs can do this too, right?
Oh, 100%. You know, we're here to protect our citizens, and we take the fight right to the front line, right on the ocean borders. We're less than 60 miles away from the Bahamas. So a lot of people that are trying to enter our country illegally, criminally, they will make their way to the Bahamas where they're soft on crime. And then from there, they'll steal a vessel. They'll pay someone to smuggle them over. And when they shoot straight over west, they land on the Treasure Coast right here in our community. So we have deputies out there in specialized boats that we ordered that have like these foam barriers around. They're called safety vessels. That we go out there, we forcefully, if need be, intercept these vessels.
That's wild. To be honest, I mean, I've been in the news business for quite a few years, not 40 years, but at least 20, 25, been watching what's going on. Never really have I heard of the county really being in the coastal region. You think of Coast Guard, you think of Customs and Border Protection, more of a federal thing. So you're saying the county, at the county level, this is happening?
Oh, 100%. Or in St. Lucie County, it's happening. In Indian River County and Martin County, those counties along the Treasure Coast are all stepping up and filling in the gaps where the failed Biden-Harris policies have just gotten soft on it. So we're stepping up to the plate. We're taking our resources to protect our borders, which is ultimately protecting our citizens and saving lives.
Can you talk to us about that video you guys posted on your Facebook page just last week? You had one of your deputies out there. Tell us what their responsibility is, what it is day to day, kind of the run of the mill.
So we are a coastal community. We have lots of people come out here. It's one of the sport fishing capital of the world. So with that, people tend to get injured. They go out and stranded on boats. So we have a marine unit. We also have an aviation unit, highlighting the incredible work that the men and women do every single day, putting on that life jacket and their ballistic vest and going out there and being able to help our citizens while at the same time protecting our borders is just amazing. So we just refocus their effort, and they want to. You know, law enforcement wants to keep us safe. You know, our deputies want to go out there and make a difference. You know, and I made the comment in there, you know, come January 20th, the handcuffs are coming off law enforcement and going back on the criminals where they belong.
So can you talk to us about the fact that if there are a sheriff's deputy in St. Lucie County, is there a joke amongst the guys that they're also border protection agents in a way? I mean, that's what they're doing, is it not?
It is. But again, we've tried signing up for the program to work with the feds and ICE. I did a follow-up on it a few months ago. We've been in holding for the last 2 years. But know this, come January 20th, the gloves are coming off. Law enforcement is going to go back to exactly what they want to be doing, going out there and their service, protecting the community. And that comes right down to our ICE agents, our Customs Border Protection agents. These aren't the men and women on the front lines. These are 100% failed Biden-Harris policies. That's all going to change.
Exactly. And for all of those border protection agents that want to do their job, if the leadership is pushing down on saying to do, orders to do something different, that's the problem we're running into, correct?
Oh, 100%. You know, our team works close with Homeland Security. They work close with ICE. We work very close with the Coast Guard. You know, our deputies know the Coast Guard coasties on a first name basis. They have their cell phone numbers. They interact with them on a professional and personal level. They're a great, amazing Americans that are out there putting their lives on the line to protect our borders. However, their restriction comes just from that, from the administration at the top. But we all know what's going to happen. It's going to change, and we're going to make America safe.
So from the coast to the streets in Lucie County or St. Lucie County, are there people that say, well, you know what, you guys should have more deputies on the streets versus out there on the coast? Or are they saying, hey, you know what, you're doing a great job keeping illegal immigrants off of or out of our communities?
Oh, they love it. They love what we're doing. They love that not only are we going out there and protecting our community, that we're very, very transparent. They're seeing it firsthand. They're getting to know these deputies. You know, the video that we posted out there was a highlight of that deputy that goes out there. It puts a person with the job. We're not a machine. We're not the bad people going out there to rip families apart. You know, we're out there to protect our borders, and we're out there to protect our citizens. And, you know, when you have someone coming into our community that's not properly vetted, that's a criminal, that's a deviant, that is fleeing the country that they're at because they're not accepted there, or their intentions is to come over here and victimize our citizens, not happening, not in St. Lucie.
Sheriff Keith Pearson, sir, thank you so much for joining us once again here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Have a good one.
It's not every day that a sheriff can go on camera, explain it like Sheriff Keith Pearson can, but then right when you think that, there's another sheriff in town, Frederick County, Maryland. We'll be going to Chuck Jenkins in just a minute, but before we go to Maryland, we're going to stay in Florida because there's a law and order situation when it comes to how dangerous it can be to be a deputy or an officer. We already know that, but here is some proof back in St. Lucie County. Here's Sheriff Keith Pearson once again. The video the other day that you guys posted on Facebook, can you talk to us about that one?
Absolutely. When you see stuff like that, it just, when you get that call, you feel at the bottom of your heart. You know that something bad happened. You know that our deputies are out there putting their life on the line to protect our citizens. And far too often, the focus isn't necessarily on the person that they're targeting. You've got to pay attention to everything around you. And that video highlights the inherent dangers that they have.
And can you talk to us about specifically what happened that day? When was this? Can you give us just the rundown on it?
So it was a Saturday night, about 11 o'clock, typical night. The city of Fort Pierce tried stopping a reckless driver. The driver continued to go on, turned into a small pursuit, coming into our jurisdiction. So radio broadcast comes along the radio. Hey, anybody in the area? Fort Pierce is behind a vehicle not stopping. Our deputies join in. When they see all the lights, the occupant decided to pull over. They knew they weren't going to come into St. Lucie County because our deputies are trained to pit, vit. We'll put them in the ditch. We're not going to put up with that nonsense. So he crossed into the county jurisdiction. For whatever reason, I'd like to think it's because he knows law and orders in St. Lucie County. He pulled over, and our deputies are doing a felony stop. The cars are out there. They have their guns drawn. They're on a PA saying, driver, step out of the vehicle, put your hands up. As they're doing that, you hear screeching, and a car rear-ended them. 50 mile an hour. We go over there. The deputies are just thrown. You see the cars, pushed 20 feet. Another car rolled over and went 70 feet away. Our deputy's laying on the ground with his hand underneath the vehicle's tire of another patrol vehicle. Now, it didn't roll over him. When the impact hit them, they all went in the air, including the car, and that's how they landed. So our deputies out there still having to deal with the asshole from that originally started the traffic stop. They get him into custody. Now they have to go back and give first aid to the person who rear-ended him. We don't know what the condition was, but we go out there, and what do we find out? That asshole is drunk. Uncalled for. Everybody knows exactly, that in this day and age that, driving under the influence is not acceptable. It's not a program. He had an open container of alcohol there. This clown gets on the phone, tries to call his wife, and in the process of calling his wife, it connects to the Bluetooth. So our body cam footage picks up his wife calling him an idiot and telling him, you're going to jail. And he's drunk and slurring, what for? She's like, you just crashed into a cop car. What do you think you're going to jail for? So he ended up going to jail. And again, it's just the inherent danger that law enforcement that law enforcement faces whenever they're out there. It's not necessarily the person that they're dealing with.
So the original traffic stop was because someone was driving recklessly, and then you're saying a DUI hits the patrol car while the guys were already stopped for the first incident. Is that what happened?
That's exactly what happened. We have patrol cars out there. They're stationed to block them. Thank God their training kicked in. And but if you watch the video, it goes right back to the character of every law enforcement officer in St. Lucie County, and I'd like to think America. Even though they were just the victims of getting literally hit by a car, they sprung back in. They provided first aid. They did what they needed to do. They did their job, and that's the most important thing there. It's just amazing to watch it, under those kind of tense circumstances. We could talk about it now. We can say how dumb this guy was and how he belongs in prison. But, he got locked up that night. But again, you just never know what's going to happen.
And finally, Sheriff, what would you like to say to anybody that works in law enforcement that's watching this broadcast or maybe retired from law enforcement? What would you like to say to them?
Thank you for your service. Thank you for stepping up to the plate. Thank you for doing everything that you did to ensure that my family, your family, everyone's family is safe.
Sheriff Keith Pearson out of St. Lucie County, Florida. Sir, thank you again for joining us on Right Side.
Thank you.
Always great to see the amount of respect, the mutual respect that President Trump and law enforcement have. If you remember, before various rallies, President Trump would be getting onto Trump Force One or deplaning, and he would always be taking photos with law enforcement. It is about law and order. It's about closing our border. And someone else that's fired up within the sheriff category is Sheriff Chuck Jenkins. He's the Frederick County, Maryland sheriff. He also was in the news recently. We sat down with him. Here's that interview. This now is Frederick County Sheriff Chuck Jenkins. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on Right Side.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So apparently you had to argue in defense of President Trump the other day for his immigration policies. Is that right? Can you tell us about that?
Well, I have supported President Trump's policies going back further, way before President Trump was president. I believe he's 100% right on this issue. I will support those policies and do what I can as a sheriff to help enforce the law.
Okay, so was it something about defending President Trump's policy? A mayor was speaking about it. Which mayor was this? Can you bring us up to speed on it?
It was Frederick City Mayor Michael O'Connor, who obviously didn't get the message on Election Day that this is what America wants, okay? He's totally opposed to President Trump. He made a couple comments, I think, that angered taxpayers. Number one, when he said he would use taxpayer funds to fund legal protection, legal counsel for illegals who were taken into custody for deportation. He has no right to do that. He angered a lot of people out of it. Secondly, he didn't outright say it, but he declared Frederick City a sanctuary city by the fact, making a statement about the funding of legal counsel. Also said that he would do what he could to protect those who are in this country illegally. If ICE was coming after him, he would do what he could to protect them. And he has no business saying that.
So it looks like you'll be working in conjunction with ICE, Customs and Border Protection. You're all in as a sheriff of Frederick County in Maryland.
Correct. And I have been for 16 years. We worked with ICE. We have made this county safer. We placed into deportation like 1,990 some odd people who were in this country illegally, committed crimes in Frederick County, and now they're gone. How much safer are we because of that?
I hear you loud and clear. How fired up are you about this situation right now? I hear you and agree with you that we, the people, said we want law and order. We want the border closed. We want things to get taken care of. But you still have people against that in government, and you're the sheriff of that county. I mean, that must fire you up.
I don't know how people can say that when you have Americans that are being raped, murdered, brutalized by criminals that are in this country illegally, and we're sitting back and we're watching, we're not doing anything. I would like to see the mayor or anybody else sit in a room with the father of Laken Riley or Rachel Morin or Sarah Root, name one of hundreds of Americans who have been brutalized and killed by criminal aliens. It's not right. It shouldn't happen in this country. We've got to do what we can as elected officials, law enforcement and otherwise, to protect Americans. That's what we do.
Exactly. And finally, sir, your thoughts about President Trump. When he would board Trump Force One or deplane, he'd always take photos with law enforcement. I mean, this guy is the real deal, isn't he?
He is. I had the opportunity to meet President Trump probably 8 or 9 times over the years during his first 4 years in administration. He loves America. He loves the working man. He loves law and order, and he loves law enforcement. He makes that known. It's very clear. Everybody sees that.
Sheriff Chuck Jenkins out of Frederick County, Maryland. Sheriff, thank you so much for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Thank you.
And to be honest with you, it seems like there's a number of sheriffs out there that we could interview here at Right Side Broadcasting Network echoing the same sentiment, law and order and shut the border down. So that's what we, the people, voted for, of course, on November 5th. Speaking of we, the people, stepping up in a big way in Western North Carolina. When the mainstream media decides not to cover a story or not really tell you what's really happening on the ground, conservative media, we the people, band together. That's exactly what happened. You're going to meet Johnny Rowlett and his wife Gail. They have a ministry together. Johnny also is a country artist. He played some great music at the Opry in Nashville. But also they went to Western North Carolina twice in the past few months to help out people in that affected region. Here's a portion of the video that Johnny has put out there on YouTube.
First of all, number one, everybody's going to be asking, why were you here? You had no idea.
No clue.
Right?
This is my first year here, and everyone told me that I was on the high ground and that The water would just maybe get underneath my trailer. We may lose power for about 10 to 12 hours. Everything would be fine. I can handle that.
Yeah.
And I saw a giant sheet of the road come up and just disappear.
The pavement.
Yes. That road that was up there, yes.
Oh my God.
And it disappeared. And that's when I realized I'm not going anywhere. So at first I noticed that my vehicles were kind of sheltering me from the water. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's one reason I wasn't too worried about it. Because if they hadn't been there, the water would have been up to my window at least. Like, and I was looking at that the other day on the videos. I'm like, wow, like I didn't realize how high the water. I was thinking, how did it not, you know? And I'm looking in the front, and I'm just like, okay. So I started doing the math. And I'm like, well, it would have been up to my window had those vehicles not been there. So
and then, the debris that got.
As you know, President Trump was quick to visit the Asheville area as soon as he could to help where he can. Still on his mind, of course, and with Team Trump when it comes to the people of Western North Carolina. You saw one of them there on the right. On the left, that was Johnny Rowlett. He and his wife, Gail, are the ones that went to Western North Carolina twice to visit the people. Here's that interview. Joining us right now is Johnny and Gail Rowlett from Michigan. Thank you guys so much for joining us on Right Side.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Matthew.
Definitely, definitely. So, Johnny, tell us about the North Carolina trips. I mean, 2 trips to Western North Carolina. It seems like the mainstream news media, they kind of back off, but you guys went in. Tell us about it.
Well, we just happened to be there on tour in Statesville, North Carolina, and found when all this kind of went down, and then my wife was just emphatic that we're not leaving here till we make some kind of an impact and make a difference, and we happen to have quite a bit of contacts in those areas, so we just wanted to get boots on the ground, get in there and help out as fast as we could.
And Gail, tell us about that. It seems like you didn't have a second thought. You guys both just said, we have to help.
Right, exactly. So that is what I love to do. I actually love to go and help people in different positions and situations throughout their life or throughout the country. I've noticed in history that whenever something catastrophic happens, the news focuses on it for about 1 minute and then it kind of moves on. And so I wanted to go there, put boots on the ground and see really what was going on. And because a lot of times people can paint the picture a little bit differently than what it is. So I wanted to see for myself, but also seeing all the devastation and just wanted to, come together and just do something.
Yeah.
Johnny, can you talk to us about the video that you posted? I mean, that was a lot of damage. What was it like for you personally to see that damage there? And then also how the stars aligned that you were already performing in that area, outside of that area, and then there you are helping people in a time of need.
Yeah, I think one of the great things is we had the contact of the cowboy pastor from West Jefferson, North Carolina, and he was able to tell us what exactly he needed, on a daily, moment by moment basis, and then we would put him in the truck and just drive up into the mountains, and really the damage that we saw was much greater than what we could even imagine. And then what we were specifically doing is driving, looking for people that were out working, trying to, and then just getting out of the truck and helping them, bringing them chainsaws and tools and food and whatever we could bring them to help them in that immediate moment. Because the first time we went up there, it was about just rescue and dealing with the catastrophe of it all, and just kind of just reeling from it. And we were, able to say, okay, let's help you with this right now, right here.
And so it seems like what we're seeing is we, the people, stepping up regardless of what else is happening out there, right?
Right. Yes, absolutely. It is amazing to see people working together as a community, people coming from all over the nation, bringing RVs for people to live in, bringing heaters, bringing blankets,
generators. Now
that we're in this cold season, people are freezing, so they're needing all these things, and people from all over the nation, whether they order it on Amazon and have it drop shipped or they bring it themselves, semis full of stuff. It is really amazing to see all the people working together.
Yeah, and you're talking about you just standing out there. And at the second time we went up, we kind of helped. We were part of a place called Camp Miller in Pensacola, North Carolina, and you would see guys coming in from Idaho and Montana and California, and they're redneck cowboy, hard iron workers, construction guys, and they're bringing in whatever, skid steers and backhoes and excavators and just their abilities and their talents and just showing up. And it was like watching what America is supposed to be.
Right.
That's awesome. It's awesome to hear that. And we've heard various reports of that going on, but to hear it from you guys, since you guys were actually there twice in Western North Carolina during the fall. On top of that, what were your thoughts about Elon Musk and Starlink being sent there for communications? How awesome was that?
That was
huge.
Such a huge godsend, because most of the cell towers were taken out.
Yeah.
And so people didn't have any contact with the outer world at all to let them know I'm alive or I'm not alive, or this is my need or help or anything. They couldn't get any communication to anyone. And so it was a huge impact in that area.
Just in Camp Miller alone, that we were able to help be a part of the organization. They had like a tent set up and big TVs and computers, and we were able to pinpoint where people were all over the map and be able to send out teams on a moment by moment basis. And none of that would have been possible without Starlink.
That's awesome. It's awesome to hear that. Thank you guys for joining us here on Right Side, as we want the narrative to continue to be true, in the sense of, hey, if the mainstream media is not going to cover stories, conservative media will, because this is what's happening in Western North Carolina. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Thank you, Matthew, for having us. God bless America.
Amen. And if you're just joining us right now here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, this is our 4th episode of The Road to 47, the countdown to Inauguration Day. There are 46 days until President Trump returns to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Of course, we'll be monitoring various moves, including having a lot of coverage there for Inauguration Day and possibly even the week leading up to it. As President Trump, again, will be headed to New York tonight for an awards ceremony. Then he'll be going to Paris over the weekend. The Notre Dame Cathedral, he'll be going to the reopening on Saturday. He mentioned that on Truth Social earlier this week. So we'll be covering all of different events that are happening in the sense of President Trump's Truth Social account, but also any news that develops, we'll have it here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. So speaking of the inauguration, one of the next people might be having their statue of President Trump on display at the inauguration. That's word on the street. We'll see if it actually happens. But at the end of the day, the two people you're about to meet got the attention of President Donald J. Trump. Take a look. Cottrill joins us right now, a figurative sculptor with 34 years experience. Let's talk about that sculpture right on your right side of your shoulder there. How did that all come about?
I got a call from a group of cryptocurrency individuals from Canada and the United States, and they wanted a 15-foot tall bronze Donald Trump statue in a pose very similar to what he adopted when he arose from after having been shot there at Butler, when he pounded that fist up in the air in an act of defiance and strength. And that was the energy that I tried to imbue into the piece.
That's awesome. And having made so many sculptures around the country, including having a Thomas Edison sculpture at the U.S. Capitol building, and now this one here, out of all of them, I mean, this one here is pretty interesting. It's the leader of the free world saying, fight, 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 in a very important election of our country. I'm not going to try and have you judge which one's your favorite, but I mean, this is a special one, isn't it?
It's very special. My entire team was excited to do a 15-foot tall bronze sculpture. We had done, couple hundred, 6, 7, 8-foot sculptures, a half dozen 12-foot sculptures, but never a 15-foot standing figure, and one in a very patriotic pose, and a president. That's probably my 16th or 18th standing president that I've done, life-size or larger.
That's wild. That is wild. You were saying also that the sculpture is going to be getting toured around the country a little bit. Your thoughts about something like that happening for the American people to see your great work of art?
Oh, not only myself, but my entire team of 8 people are very excited to have this 15-foot tall sculpture put on a flatbed trailer and displayed at any number of different Republican functions around the country. We're real excited about that.
And what would be your message as someone that is part of we the people here in this country to anyone that's watching this right now? Any advice for people moving forward in small businesses or in general, just being a citizen of this country? I know we just dealt with a huge fork in the road for our nation, and thank God it went to President Trump, but your thoughts for the people?
Well, do what I've been doing. I've read the Constitution a number of times in recent years, and I just want to follow the Constitution and make America the best place in the world to live in.
Alan, thank you so much for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Thanks.
And artist Bill Secunda joins us right now from Butler, Pennsylvania. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on Right Side.
Oh, glad to be here.
Tell us about what is over your left shoulder right there. That's quite the work of art.
Yeah, I built a life-size sculpture of Trump. I did it back in 2020. It was in a different position. We call it the Superman position. He was pulling his jacket back, and there was a big T on his chest. You know, because he's tough as nails. I build sculptures out of nails, and whenever he got shot, I decided to change it. So I tore it all apart, rearranged it, and was lucky enough to even show it to him.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that was in Reading, Pennsylvania. Tell us what it was like to meet the leader of the free world and have him like that product and like that artwork that you made.
Oh, we're almost embarrassed over it. If I ever see him again, I'm going to have to apologize, because we had all these things we wanted to say, and then when your biggest hero walks through the door, it caught us off guard. But it was really fun. He was a great guy.
Yeah, definitely, and a lot of people love being able to have an opportunity to meet President Trump. If he were to watch this story, you never know, he might. What would you want to say to President Trump?
Well, you are tough as nails. I've never seen anybody, even at half his age, have that kind of energy. When we met him at Reading, this was the third event of the day. And, we support him. We love him. We really want to do anything we can to help him do what he said he's going to do.
That's right. And we, the people, are right there with you. And of course, here at Right Side Broadcasting Network for the golden age for our country. Also, can you talk to us about the specifics about the nails making that entire sculpture there? How many nails, or any facts and figures that are interesting?
Well, it's about 4,000 nails. They're called cut nails. They're the old-fashioned kind of flat nail. They're used mainly for concrete nowadays, but I use those a lot when I need like a smoother surface. And, I even was able to use it for his hair also. And I took a brazing rod, and there's an old video on YouTube that kind of shows me actually brazing his hair, which, I spent so much time on his hair, his ears, his facial features, but this those were a little difficult with the nails, only because, you know, you have to have them red hot, heated up to be able to bend them, and then weld them into place. You know, so I mean, there's only so much detail.
And then when you were putting this sculpture together, was there that extra sense of patriotism and love going into this work?
Oh, definitely. You know, because from the very first, you know, I never really watched a lot of Trump on television or anything like that. But when he started running for office, I would look back at videos and things he said, you know, 10, 20 years ago, and he's been consistent the whole time. So I knew this was a different kind of character. And, you know, I really wanted to have some fun with it. And I always dreamed of meeting him. So, you know, I was glad to see that happen.
Well, Bill Secunda, the sculptor of the Tough as Nails President Trump fights work of art right there. Sir, thank you so much for joining us here on Right Side.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. All right, so getting ready to show you some other footage here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, that was Alan and Bill doing great things within their industry for the country. Like are many of you out there, it's great to see our conservative industries growing no matter what industry we're in out there. So for those of you missing the Trump rallies, you might want to pay attention to this next segment here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. If you remember, a lot of the videos that are played at the Trump rallies or at the Trump rallies over the years, a lot of them were made by the Dilly Meme Team. And some of you are familiar with that name. Well, we're about to interview the founder, Brendan Dilly. But before we do, let's go back to Grand Rapids, Michigan, where just 7 days prior, it was J13 in Butler, Pennsylvania. And then you go to Grand Rapids, and then there was this video that was played that Titus Ellis Smith and I, even in Atlanta, the same video was played there, talked about how great this was, a very impactful political ad. Well, I was flying solo in Grand Rapids, Michigan, 7 days after J13, and when I saw this video and heard this video, it really impacted me, and I believe all of the people in that arena. Take a look. You can see the video right now. There's Mount Rushmore, awesome, awesome sight in Rapid City, South Dakota. President Trump, this is one of the most powerful political ads that I've ever seen, showing the fake news. And of course, right there with all of the soldiers, with President Trump walking out. Awesome, awesome, powerful video. Obviously, looking at the border there, build the wall. We heard that chant earlier today outside of this arena.
We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So with American pride swelling in our hearts and American courage stirring in our souls, I say these words to you tonight. We will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again.
What an awesome, awesome moment. I don't know about you, but that brings some goosebumps and some great memories back with all of those awesome rallies out there. Many of you have attended. Many of you have watched right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. What a moment that was. But it wasn't just me. It was Titus Ellis Smith, Bobby McNeely, and others that have heard and seen that video and experienced that moment. And sometimes in politics, it's a moment that can also really bring things together for inspiration, but also to get out the vote. And not only emotion, of course, all of the great logic that President Trump has brought when it comes to all of the Agenda 47, the top 20 promises to the American people, closing the border, defending the Constitution, and the like. So great to see some footage from just a little bit ago. We're actually going to go to one of those for a Throwback Thursday segment in just a few minutes. So if you missed a little bit of that rally coverage right there, we'll throw to that in just a second. Let's shift back now to the Dilly Meme Team. So that was made by the team there. There's another video that they just released, so we're going to play that for you. Then we'll show you the interview with Brendan Dilly. Here's that video called Future. Awesome moments there. You remember SpaceX with how that rocket returned there. And of course, President Trump loved that story and shared that story about the arms wrapping around the rocket there. So a great video there from the Dilly Meme Team. Let's go to the founder now, Brendan Dilly. Take a look. Joining us right now is Brendan Dilly with the Dilly Meme Team. Thanks so much for joining us on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Big fan, and I'm excited to be here with you.
Right back at you, man. I mean, all the videos that you guys have put out there, I mean, at the rallies, and millions of people have seen them online. You guys really align yourselves with the passion of the movement. Can you just talk to us about that from that 30,000-foot view?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that my team is a mix of all ages and from all demographics from all over America, and that gives us a unique perspective when it comes to messaging, because it's not coming from a focus group. It's not coming from the Beltway. It's coming from all across America. And so when these creators get together and we start putting together these videos, we have a very good, what I would think is a very accurate pulse of the country and specifically of MAGA and the Republican Party as it is today. And it does allow us a very unique perspective, and we have a tendency of being able to hit a lot of home runs simply because we understand the public, we understand MAGA, we understand the voters for President Trump, and you know, we are those people. I mean, that's everybody on my team. This is another thing a lot of people don't realize. Every single member of my team started out as fans of my show first, and so they already understood where I was coming from, and they came from that MAGA base. So they didn't come from some video editing referral company. These were all fans who taught themselves the technical skills to be able to do what they do, and we were able to just create something really special that continues to roll all the way through the election and hopefully beyond inauguration.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the skill set, to your point, is awesome. The impact, I mean, do you, Brandon, realize the impact of these videos? Man, they really hit home for a lot of people.
You know, it's one of those things when you're in the fight, you don't want to look up. I try not to take too much inventory when we're in the middle of a battle. And definitely these last couple of weeks post-election, and the people who have reached out and contacted me, now that we've started to evaluate what affected this election, what compelled people, and what was really driving them, you do start to get a better idea of just what kind of an impact you had on the culture. And this was something that was said to me from a senior official from the Trump campaign back in Iowa during the caucus. And it was that you guys are the tip of the spear. And there's a lot of activities that go into winning an election, certainly on the ground, the door knockers and the voter registrations and the phone bankers and everything in between. But I believe what he was trying to tell me was that we had seeded the ground culturally that allowed for a more aggressive, more ambitious, and probably a little bit even more America First messaging during the general election. And that started, years in advance with how we handled the primary season and the type of videos that we were putting out. And our objective was not, obviously the main objective is to get President Trump elected as the president, which we were successful in playing a part of that. But the other objective was to try to bring some normalcy and some levity back to America so that people who love this country and who are familiar with the culture over the last 50, 60, 70 years can begin to enjoy and embrace it once again.
Exactly. So can you walk us through what it's like to make a video? I mean, do you guys simply sit around in a newsroom kind of setting and talk about ideas, and then who writes it and who puts it all together?
You know what? It's we have a collection of people. We're all inside of a group chat, and these people are all over the country. We don't work together in direct, in person, but we've been doing this format for years, and that's the other thing that makes it really unique. We are 24/7. I can go into my chat room, my meme room, at any point, almost on any given day, and somebody's either working, commenting, or we're assessing what's going on in the news cycle, and so. We've had this schedule since 2021, January of 2021, when I first formed the Dilly Meme Team. And so, we're going on almost 4 full years with no days off. And generally the way it works is, we'll have something come across the news cycle, and right away you've got 24 or 25 people with unique ideas and creativity, and you've got musicians and singers and animators and everything in between, voiceover actors and AI experts. And it is a collaborative effort. Now, some things when we point out, we say, okay, we're going to specifically target a particular policy or something going on. We'll break out into groups, teams, and we'll kind of storyboard and work through that. Other times, it's very organic and very quick. You've seen a lot of that action during State of the Union addresses when Biden would be giving speeches. We'd be fact-checking with actual memes with the real video of what was being said or what was being done. Highly effective. We've done that. We also do that during the debates. So it goes both directions. Sometimes you have passion projects that the team will work on for days and weeks at a time. And other times it's just real-time response, war room style, to what's happening in the news cycle so that we can control the narrative.
That's so awesome. And that's what it is about. And controlling the narrative, not in a bad way. I mean, this is for the truth, right? This is for the good things for the country, of course. So we've got the fake news mainstream media. Then we've got the great conservative media that is rising. But your specialty with memes and videos is that social media platform kind of way of really speaking to millions of people that might not turn on the fake news. Hopefully they won't anyway. Maybe they don't want to sit around for some other show, but they're like, you know what? I will watch this video. So what does that feel like to be a part of that segment of media that is conservative for freedom, for God, for our country, for Trump and on?
It's amazing because this is what we've learned, and we're learning it from the pollsters, and it was referenced right before the election. What the pollsters were hearing and the feedback they were getting was, frankly, the memes were highly effective, that many voters were deriving their positions and decisions largely in part to what they saw and received through memetic warfare. And what that means is, it's sometimes difficult to have a high value conversation about politics when an average person is involved. You get into the weeds and you get sucked down and the discourse becomes too much. With memes, you can just send the video and the video will do the speaking. And especially if you're using music that's nostalgic, you're using videos that are nostalgic or comedy, you can drive home a greater point and expose a greater truth. And it allows people, frankly, to bond. I think it allows, this is one of the biggest pieces of feedback we got were Gen Zers who were sending these videos back and forth with their Gen X parents. And then they all went out and voted Trump. And that's one of the cooler things I've seen. I think I would like to believe that memes played a very big role in carrying that younger demographic, which is really setting up the MAGA movement and America First movement for the future, because these young people have seen it all. They're getting familiarized. And I think a lot of people, too, are really yearning for culture in America because, frankly, the culture has been very void for the last few years with cancel culture and sort of a lot of the DEI type stuff that really took the fun out of being an American.
Exactly. Brendan Dilly, for those of you watching, this is from the Dilly Meme Team, the main man himself right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. One more question, Brendan. Let's go back a decade, maybe 2 decades. What were you up to? What did you think in your mind to be able to get to a point where you are now, making these memes that are seen by millions of people? What was it for you personally that got you to where you are today?
You know, it's funny, as I started out my career as a personal trainer, so I've always worked with the public. Eventually, I went on to work in motivational seminars and different types of things like that, as well as commercial real estate. But I wrote a book back in 2013 called Still Breathing: The Wisdom and Teachings of a Perfectly Flawed Man. And that's where I started out, was in self-development and trying to help people out. Politically, I had always backed, I had only voted twice in my life before President Trump. And both times were for Dr. Ron Paul. I had written his name in 2008 and 2012. And I kind of already knew that there was going to be a massive culture shift in this country. I didn't know when it was going to happen. And so I'd already started building my brand around this sort of irreverent comedy and directness and truthfulness. And eventually that turned into the Dilly Show, which then turned into the Dilly Meme Team. And that was really just, it's a God thing. It's been incredible. It's been the ride of my life. I've got great people that I get to work with every single day that are brilliant. We're at the forefront of pretty much anything and all things AI. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been extremely gratifying. And participating, I think, in this level of patriotism and working with people, and obviously seeing our president get back into the White House and hopefully be able to enact an agenda that's really going to do a lot for this country.
100% looking forward to the golden age. Brendan Dilly with the Dilly Meme Team. Sir, thank you so much for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. And speaking of President Trump and the Dilly Meme Team, they also sent us a video titled "Remember the Man." We're going to play that for you in just a second. But again, the impact, millions of people on social media across all these platforms, and then all of the rallies. Obviously, we've seen these videos, and of course, people inspired, encouraged. And here is a great video from the Dilly Meme Team. We'll be right back right after this video.
Remember the man who shaped the skyline of America, who embodied the American dream and showed the nation its potential. Remember the man who left a good life to ignite a movement, who molded America, empowered the people, and redefined our history. Remember the man who battled the hoaxes, fought the witch hunts, and defeated impeachments. Remember the man who rebuilt our economy, protected the worker, and uplifted the family. Remember the man who made good on a promise, who moved our embassy and gave the Middle East peace.
After decades of division and conflict, we mark the dawn of the new Middle East.
Remember the man who built the wall, who protected our nation and secured our borders. Remember the man who put America first, the unrivaled deal maker who dominated the world stage. Remember the man who rebuilt our military into the greatest fighting force known to mankind.
America will always prevail.
Remember his America. Remember American greatness, American dominance, American preeminence, America first. Remember the pride, the patriotism, the confidence in a leader who put this nation above all. Remember how the deep state couldn't stop him, the elites couldn't bite him, and permanent Washington could not control him. Remember the winning, remember the victories, remember the reverence, remember the pride. Remember the movement, remember the beginning, remember the vision, remember the legacy, remember what was, remember great again, remember that nation, remember that man. Well, he's back. There's unfinished business. And remember the promise.
The best is yet to come.
What else is there to say? What a powerful video there by the Dilly Meme Team. Let's conclude our broadcast with a nod to Throwback Thursday. Yes, there's a lot of news going on in the 24/7 news cycle. We are watching that. We have also in our past episodes have interviewed Senator Tommy Tuberville out of Alabama, the Congressman Eli Crane out of Arizona, and we're always looking for the next story here. So a number of these stories today were actually brought to you by We the People. 2 of them, in fact. So thank you for bringing in those story ideas. Also, let's go not too far back on this Throwback Thursday. MSG, DJT. Check it out.
Together we will fight, 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 and we will win, win, win. We're going to win, win, win. November 5th will be the most important day in the history of our country. And together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, New York. God bless you.
Good times there. Great speeches. More to come and a lot of action to happen, of course. Great things for President Trump and the team for this golden age coming up. This broadcast brought to you by MyPillow.com. If you use the RSBN promo code, you can save up to 80%. So all you have to do is use the RSBN promo code, go to MyPillow.com, a number of great products, of course, by the great Mike Lindell. If you missed an interview with Mike on our episode 3, our last episode, last Tuesday, we had a nice interview with him there. So it's MyPillow.com. Also, if you'd like to assist with the donations here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, all you do is text RSBN to 801-801. So just text RSBN to 801-801. Speaking of Right Side Broadcasting Network, as you know, we do a lot of interviews, as you saw on this past hour of a show. Sometimes, well, really only one time, there has been a blooper. Guess what? Here is the blooper with Brendan Dilly from the interview. Take a look. Joining us right now is Brendan Dilly of the Dilly Meme Team. Sir, thank you for joining us on Right Side.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. I mean, the last video that you guys put out entitled Future was pretty awesome. Can you walk us through that one a little bit?
Actually, which it was titled Future.
Yeah.
No one ever titles the memes when I'm using them, so I've never heard that before. Which one are we talking about?
We should totally air this, by the way.
Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute, dude, you got to understand, our team puts out probably 5 to 6 of these things a day, so never heard. Is that what Trevor called it when he sent it over?
This is great, dude. This is so cool.
I'm like, he sent you over what?
We're about to air this as a blooper at the end of the show.
please do. I'm like, no one ever titles the memes unless it's something really distinct, like, you know, obviously like we have the Trump man videos and stuff, but I've never heard one called Future.
All right.
That's awesome.
Well, that's great. Oh man. Make America smile again, make comedy great again, and make America laugh again. A nice moment there with Brendan Dilly. Thanks again, Brendan, for appearing on the Right Side Broadcasting Network show. This is called The Road to 47. We'll be back on next Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can stay with RSBN for the latest news on all of our RSBN platforms, anything from Truth Social to X. On Truth Social, we have more than 1 million followers. Same thing on X. And of course, on our website, on our app, you can stay with us for the latest news coverage. Thank you so much for joining us on this show. I'm Matthew Alvarez. For all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, our RSBN Economic Report is up next.
from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving us with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss. I'm going to make it your gain. For the first time ever, you get standard classic MyPillows for wholesale prices, only $14.88. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, I'm going to offer my entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.88. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on the screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever on TV, including my standard size MyPillow, only $14.88. They've never been offered this low before. We have limited quantities at this price, so limit's going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.